Today we're going to talk about how to make compost tea. First thing you need is compost. So, and if you haven't made compost before, the way I make it is we mostly use kitchen scraps and leaves and grass trimmings and garden scraps. I put them in these barrels that I made. I don't know if you can see them that well. The reason I put them in the barrel is so they can heat up quick, and I get rats if I put them in a pile. So I put them in there until they're nice and composted, and even a rat doesn't want it. Then I put it in this pile to let it finish, and in this pile there's tons of red wiggler worms, and they finish the job. And so when is your compost done? First of all, compost shouldn't stink when it's done. If you turn it the way you should, it's not going to stink. It's going to smell earthy. It's not going to smell like ammonia or swamp, dirty swamp water. And you're not going to have big chunks of tomatoes or squash or big gooey lumps of, pretty much squash is the main one in ours, or banana peels or avocado peels. They should be all decomposed. And also, if you really want to know if it's done, let it sit for a couple days, turn it. If it's still cool and it doesn't smell, then it's done. And if it looks like dirt and really decomposed leaves, then it's done. So the first thing we need to do is take the compost, and what I do is I get this nylon. This is actually a paint screen. You can get it at your local paint store. It's a 5-gallon paint sieve or screen that they pour paint in to catch the big chunks. And so I just get one of these. This is probably 3 or 4 years old, and it's still good as new. First thing we need to do is to get the worms out of the compost. We don't want to drown our friendly worms that help us decompose. So we're going to do that. So this is the compost bubbler that I came up with to aerate a bunch of compost tea in a 50-gallon jug. So I'm just going to show it slowly from top to bottom. So up here we got a fitting to hook my air compressor, and then we have a coupler right here. It's a female to male. I think it's 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. I'm not positive, but just go to the hardware store and get all these parts. And then this goes into this is all made out of 1/2 inch PEX, and that's just a PEX fitting. You'll need to get a PEX wrench. I know this is a bit over the top and then it requires special tools, but some of you might have access. Then I have a 1/2 inch ball valve up here to regulate how much air goes through. And then we just have a 90, and it goes down. That's probably, I don't know, 2.5 feet of straight PEX. Then we've got a T. This is plastic, but you can buy metal if you want. It goes around to another T, and then this goes into an inner circle and another T. At first then I have just small little holes all through here. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this span. At first I made them out of 1/16 inch. I just drilled a hole in there, but those were too big. Too much air came out. And then I tried, I think it was a 1/32, and that was still too big. It still worked fine, but I had to pump up my compressor up, and a lot of air came out, which is fine for the compost tea, but my compressor would just run a lot. And so I decided to heat up a sewing needle into it in a torch and just poke little tiny holes in, and that worked just right. So I don't put too many holes in, otherwise you're going to have a lot of air come out and your compressor will run a lot. But like I said, there's probably 5 holes in this span right here, so there's 10 total on the outside and probably about 6 total on the inside circle. So I have my compost in the nylon sack, and I tied it to this piece of wood, so when I put it in here, it will be suspended a couple inches above, or 6 inches above my my bubbler. So put that in, hook my compressor up, and we'll fill it with water. Now, don't use chlorinated water. This is just ditch water. Chlorinated water would be kind of defeat the purpose of making compost tea. You want all the bacteria, friendly bacteria, to grow. Also, don't have it in direct sunlight. We'll brew this about 24 hours. So I filled the 50-gallon drum up with about, I don't know, 30 gallons, 35 gallons of water, and I'll just adjust the air with this ball valve. I don't want too much because I don't want my compressor to run all day and night. Now you can add some things. You can add molasses to feed the bacteria. Some experts recommend 2 tablespoons for 5 gallons. I'll also add, well, I don't know if you'll need to add that much. If your compost is anything like mine, you have tons of banana peels. I live with a bunch of monkeys and fruit and stuff, so there's plenty of sugar in there, but I'll add probably a 1/4 cup of unsulfured molasses. Also, I'll add some ground up fish guts. So it's been 24 hours since this has been brewing. So let's take a look. I'm going to turn the air off, and we'll take a look of what it's going to look like. So what you'll get is a brown liquid, much like this, and that tastes about right. So you have 2 choices. You can either put it in a sprayer, but if you do that, just make sure you strain it before as you're pouring it in. Otherwise, you might clog up your sprayer. Or what I like to do is just dip it with a bucket and then just do a drench all over your plants. But either way will work. And some experts say do it twice a year during when the plants are small and when they're about to fruit. But then they say you can't do it too much, and so just whenever your plants need it. If you can brew it longer than 24 hours. Just make sure you're constantly bubbling it. So once you stop bubbling it, make sure you use all of it within a short amount of time. But anyway, I hope that, I know is a little over-engineered. Some of you might not have some of the tools that I used or some of the equipment, but hopefully it will help you get your creative juices going and help you make compost tea. Enjoy.